Imagine a world where a group of four young men from Liverpool changes the course of history in just a few short years. They don't just play music, they redefine it. They don't just perform, they become a global phenomenon. They don't just make records, they create a cultural revolution. This is the story of the Beatles, a band that didn't just shape the 1960s but redefined what music, art, and even life itself could be. From the moment they stepped onto the Ed Sullivan Show in 1964, watched by millions, to the haunting final notes of their last album, the Beatles left a mark that no other artist has matched. But how did four lads from a small city in England become the most influential band in history? What made them different? What made them timeless? Let's take a journey through the music, the madness, and the magic of the Beatles. Formed in Liverpool in 1960, the Beatles began as a modest rock and roll band playing clubs and pubs. But what set them apart was their hunger, their creativity, and their refusal to stay in one place. They didn't just copy the sounds of the day, they reinvented them. John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr were not just musicians, they were storytellers, visionaries, and pioneers who saw music as a way to explore the human experience. Their early hits, like Love Me Do and Please Please Me, were catchy, energetic, and full of the raw charm of their Liverpool roots. But as they evolved, so did their music. They moved from simple rock and roll to complex, layered arrangements that pushed the boundaries of what a pop band could achieve. Their journey wasn't just about fame, it was about transformation, both personal and artistic. And at the heart of it all was a relentless drive to innovate, to challenge, and to inspire. The Beatles didn't just change music, they changed the world. In the 1960s, a time of social upheaval and cultural revolution, they became the soundtrack of a generation. Their music spoke to the hopes, fears, and dreams of millions, and their influence extended far beyond the recording studio. They were fashion icons, their hairstyles and clothing choices inspiring a new wave of youth culture. They were ambassadors of peace, using their platform to promote love, unity, and understanding in a world often divided by war and prejudice. Songs like All You Need Is Love and Imagine became anthems for a generation seeking change. But it wasn't just their lyrics that made them powerful, it was their ability to capture the spirit of an era. Whether through their music, their attitudes, or their unapologetic embrace of the counterculture, the Beatles became symbols of a new way of thinking. They didn't just follow trends, they created them. One of the most groundbreaking aspects of the Beatles' legacy is their musical innovation. They weren't content with just playing their instruments, they redefined how music was created, recorded, and produced. Albums like Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, 1967, were not just records, they were artistic masterpieces that pushed the boundaries of studio technology. Using techniques like tape loops, backward recording, and multi-track recording, they created sounds that had never been heard before. This album, which won the first ever Grammy Award for Album of the Year, was a bold experiment in storytelling and sound. It wasn't just music, it was a concept, a journey, a revolution. The Beatles didn't just write songs, they wrote entire worlds, filled with color, emotion, and imagination. Their willingness to take risks and break rules set a new standard for what music could be, influencing countless artists who came after them. Beyond their music, the Beatles' impact on culture was profound. They were more than a band, they were a movement. In a time when the world was changing rapidly, they reflected the hopes and frustrations of a generation. Their music became a voice for the young, the disenchanted, and the dreamers. They challenged the status quo, whether through their lyrics, their fashion, or their refusal to conform to the expectations of the music industry. They were the first rock band to be treated like stars, and their fame was both a blessing and a burden. As they rose to international stardom, they became symbols of the 1960s countercultural movement, using their platform to speak out on issues like war, civil rights, and the environment. Their influence wasn't limited to music, it extended to film, television, and even literature. They were not just artists, they were cultural icons, and their legacy continues to shape the way we think about art, life, and the power of creativity. The Beatles' commercial success is nothing short of staggering. They are one of the best-selling music artists of all time, with over 100 million records sold worldwide. Their dominance on the charts is legendary, 20 number one singles on the Billboard Hot 116 on the UK singles chart. These numbers are not just statistics, they represent a phenomenon that defied expectations and redefined what was possible in the music industry. Their ability to consistently produce hits across decades is a testament to their talent, vision, and relentless work ethic. From the infectious energy of their early rock and roll tunes to the experimental soundscapes of their later work, the Beatles never stopped surprising their fans. Their music was not only popular, it was universal, speaking to people across cultures, languages, and generations. Even today, their songs remain on the radio, in movies, and in the hearts of millions. Their commercial success wasn't just about sales, it was about creating a connection that has lasted for over half a century. The Beatles' legacy is not just in the music they created but in the countless artists they inspired. From the punk rockers of the late 1970s to the indie bands of today, their influence is everywhere. Bands like Led Zeppelin, the Rolling Stones, and even modern acts like Coldplay and Radiohead have cited the Beatles as a major influence. Their willingness to experiment with different genres, from classical to Indian music, opened the door for future artists to explore new sounds and styles. The White Album, 1968, often described as chaotic yet groundbreaking, became a blueprint for rock music's diversity, showing that one album could contain everything from hard-hitting rock to experimental noise. Even their later work, such as the Abbey Road album, continued to push boundaries and challenge the norms of the music industry. The Beatles didn't just leave behind a body of work, they left behind a legacy that continues to inspire and shape the world of music. At the heart of the Beatles' story is a simple yet powerful truth: they were artists who refused to be confined by expectations. They didn't just follow trends, they created them. They didn't just make music, they changed the way the world listened to it. Their ability to evolve, to innovate, and to connect with people on a deeply emotional level is what made them timeless. Whether through their groundbreaking studio techniques, their fearless experimentation with new genres, or their unwavering commitment to artistic integrity, the Beatles set a standard that few have ever matched. Their legacy is not just in the songs they wrote but in the way they redefined what it means to be a musician, an artist, and a human being. They showed the world that music could be more than entertainment, it could be a force for change, a bridge between cultures, and a